Hello, hello everyone. Um, my microphone turned off. Test. Hello. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, I am early because I want to make sure I've got all my stuff together um, for tonight. I'm a noob. Um, but this is the Starseed Panic Pages coloring. Um, Half hour, 20 minutes coloring session with me, Joe. And I am doing a little bit of tech support um, because I'm not only the one who created the panic pages, who draws the panic pages, who inks the panic pages. I'm also the production crew, the editing, and the tech support for this operation. Um, so, and I've not got the most educated crew when it comes to this type of setup. Um, so we're just kind of winging it, and I'm hoping that my microphone is picking up. So if you can't hear me all that well, I will fix it next time. So I think everything is where it needs to be. So tonight we're doing this focus page. I've already uploaded it for the coloring book that I'm creating with it. First, let me show you Starseed Panic Pages. This is a proof copy of it. This is the hardcover. You really want to get the hardcover because hardcover coloring books need to be a thing because y'all, coloring on this thing is amazing. It's amazing. And this is the back of it. This is what it looks like. There's me. It has instructions on how to use the book. Inside the book, I have an instructions page, dedication, all that other stuff. I'm also part of this in one woman team. I'm also the typesetter, the graphics, the everything else. So this is what it is. This is the book, and I've colored many of these pages because coloring on hardcover is just so enjoyable. But here's the book. There you go. It's on Amazon. The link is going to be in the description. Well, the URL is going to be in the description. I think the link is in my bio. So yeah, or you can just go on Amazon and click in Starseed Panic Pages and you'll find it. So I'm going to flip this around so you can see. Tonight's page is focus. So I'm not going to color the whole thing as per usual. But I am going to color most of it as I talk to you about my ADHD journey. The focus page is brought to you by is the whole point of this focus page was to kind of get in touch with kind of where I come from and how I started all this, because the panic pages are based on my journey. And I hope you can hear me. Yeah, so the panic pages are based on my journey. Yeah. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, so here, where was I? The panic pages are based on my journey, and so I wanted to take tonight and talk about that a little bit. Now, one of the things that when I created this coloring book, it was kind of, and I'm going to start coloring now at 4:09. We're going to start with 1, which is right here. I don't know if you can see it. One of the things that people told me when I started working on the book was, hey, you don't need to put neurodivergent in the title or ADHD. That's such a niche population, and you need to save this book. You need to market it for everybody who has stress. All people have stress and anxiety. Yeah, true. Cool story, bro. But the stress and anxiety that I'm targeting is the stress and anxiety that neurodivergent people like me have. It's stress and anxiety that comes from more than just the neurotypical sources. I mean, we kind of we get frustrated battling our own brains. I mean, that's essentially what it is. People who have BPD, autism, I mean, we get frustrated battling our own brains because that's our worst enemy. I mean, we're wired different and we can't help it. And sometimes our brains have minds of their own. That's the best way to put it. But that's how I explained it to this person because I didn't know how else to say it. You know, I'm like, it's different. And I made these books for people who are having those moments and need something else. And I was told that I was kind of boxing myself out of an industry, excuse me, an industry by, keeping it um, for neurodivergent ADHD people. Okay, cool, that'll work. I'll do that then. But I'm not trying to budge on that. Well, as a part of this, last time I told you that I started this, that I went through this whole 12-week Success Starter program through Dress for Success. It's a program. Dress for Success is an organization that helps women, with clothing and, workshops and things to kind of help you get your career started, get a job, and kind of get out there. Gives you a bit of an edge when you don't have one. And they picked my coloring book to be a part of this class, and I learned all about building a business around this class. And one of the things that kind of came with the class was a mentor. And my mentor happened to be Team Shiny. She happened to be neurodivergent, which is great. I was so when we did our first Zoom meeting, she and I were like clicking together like we were sharing one ADHD riddled brain. It was so magical. But she was like, no. I told her about that. She's like, no, you lean into that. You tell people this is what it's for. You put neurodivergent all the way back in there. Because, people had told me to take neurodivergent out, to take ADHD out of the book and the title and everything. I'm looking for number 7. So if you see it, shout out. And she was like, no, I colored 7. I need 8. Okay, that's why I was behind. She's like, no, keep it in there. That's your story. That's your thing. We're calming the ADHD brain. We're calming the noise that in those brains. We're here for, that's what you're doing with this whole thing. And I'm like, yes. So everything she said was everything I was trying to do. She got it. And so I'm like, no, even if it does take me longer to kind of get this book out there to the public, I want to keep this for people with ADHD, people who are neurodivergent. And I know there are people out there who don't believe in ADHD, don't believe in neurodivergence. Have fun with that. But and I'm not going to argue anyone down about it, but I am going to say I'm not going to argue my lived experiences, and you can have your beliefs over there. So this is not the stream for you if you don't believe in it. This is not the channel for you if you don't believe in it. Go somewhere else. Because I'm marketing for people who do. Marketing for people who have it. I'm marketing for people. I'm not marketing. I made this book for people who have it. I made this book for people who have loved ones who have it. And I made this book for people who just want to get some more insight, help, aid, and to kind of start a community for us, neurodivergent people and our allies. So yeah, I'm gonna keep the ADHD neurodivergent in there. So as this stream gets popular, people come in here and they're like, why you keep talking about ADHD and yada yada yada. Well, I'm gonna refer you back to this video because that's what I'm gonna be talking about today. So my ADHD. I have ADHD. Man, do I have ADHD. And I was one of those kids who was straight A student who I was sorry, there's my drawer here. I was a straight A student who read books all the time. I could get lost in a book for hours and hours and hours and hours. Um, I was that person. That was me as a kid, and I was smart. I was in the first class that in the '80s that did the whole gifted and talented, where they load you up on the kids from the poor schools, and they load you up on a bus, and you get shipped to a rich school all day, so that you're not interrupting the class and correcting the teacher, at least once or twice a week. So yeah, um, gifted, um, smart. My IQ is way high. I tested scored a 30 out of 36 on my ACT when I was in the seventh grade. Um, I was just, yeah. I mean, in my classes, my teachers always gave me extra stuff to do because the rest of, I mean, the stuff that they were giving everybody else, it was just easy. I was done and over and had my nose in a book in seconds, you know. So nobody suspected ADHD was my problem at all. I didn't even suspect it until I got to where most people nowadays, most women especially, are finding themselves, mid 30s, having other problems, and going to a doctor and saying, "Hey, I need some support." I was 33. I had just had my youngest son. Um, I have six kids, believe it or not. My oldest is 27. My youngest is just turned 9 yesterday. Um, so, but um, where was I at? See, that's another thing with ADHD. You kind of lose your thought. Um, yeah, I just had my son, and I had postpartum depression, very, very bad. And it was resisting the usual, the antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. I mean, I was just, it was not fun for me. And my doctor had been giving me, he'd been trying out all kinds of other meds. He suggested that I may have ADHD or something like that, but he didn't like give me that label. He just wanted to try the drugs. And so we tried them, and they just all, like, some of the drugs he tried, they were just like not working well. And um they weren't the usual, the typical ADHD drugs. There were some of the other ADHD, they were drugs for depression and anxiety that people use to treat ADHD. Because, like I said, he didn't say that I have it. He just was treating me with medication for it, which I found weird. Um, so finally, we had tried like four different things, and he did something that I never thought a doctor would do. He said, "Well, I don't know what else to do for you," and I made it seem like it was my fault that I that my body was resisting the drugs, and that I was having problems. He made it seem like it was my fault. I could not believe it, and so I um I told him I need help. I need help because this postpartum depression is bad. So he's like, "Well, um, here's the name of another person. She treats people with ADHD and BPD and um, bipolar disorder. And you might have one of those. She can help you with that." Okay. Um, so I get to her, um, and I'm thinking that there's something wrong with me, that I'm in some way broken and busted because I made this doctor freak out, um, like bad. And I get there, and the she's actually a nurse practitioner, but I call her doctor because she treated me better than any doctor ever did. Her name was Michelle, and she looked at me. I told her what happened, and what she was like. What she asked me, "What did he say when he sent you over?" And I told her, and I was crying. She said, "Well, I'm going to have a talk with him. but you sit down and we're gonna get this figured out. And so she started asking me a couple questions, and she was like, "Wait a minute." And so she switched over to something else on her computer, and she's like, "I need you to answer some questions for me." And I did, and she said, "Boy, do you have ADHD." And she's like, "I need you." And she says, "You're very smart, so I need you to look up these things." And she told me that women with ADHD are they are very, very highly susceptible to getting postpartum depression and with postpartum anxiety. So there's a special way to treat us, because she said what people don't understand is when you treat the ADHD, sometimes that helps with the depression and anxiety, because our depression and anxiety comes from not being able to treat the ADHD symptoms. Like, mind blown, right? Um, and so she put me on some meds, and I started seeing her regularly. And I don't know, it was life changing for me. She also gave me homework, like every session, something to look up, something to do, which I greatly appreciated. She's like, "We got to put that intelligence of yours to use." But in doing so, I learned about how my brain works. And do you know, there was like a lifetime of just feeling guilty about not being able to do things, feeling like I was lazy, being called lazy, feeling like I was scatterbrained. Um, some people called me the absent-minded professor, because I was so smart. But there's sometimes I could get ditzy. I got called ditzy a lot, and people just really would treat me like I either was dumb or lazy or both, or wasn't capable of doing anything. Um, Even though I was smarter than everybody in the room most of the time. And I'm saying that with total confidence, because I know in several cases I was in a room full of people who did not know what the fuck they were doing, or saying, but they weren't listening to me, because I exhibited, in some way at some point, some characteristic that had me pegged as somebody who wasn't smart or capable. So that diagnosis told me I was smart, and I was not only smart, I was smart and capable, and I had a brain that could fix, that was like built to fix shit. It was built to fix problems. It was built to kind of do things and get things done. Um, she was like, and one of the things Michelle told me, she said, no, she's like, don't blame your brain. Yes, it's a chemical imbalance. Yes, ADHD is there's more to it than we even know. But she's like, don't blame your brain. Your brain is wonderful. And she's like telling me all this, the properties of an ADHD brain. And she's like, we still don't know the depth of how what the brain, the ADHD brain is capable of doing. But those are the brains that people had when we needed to survive. You know how we can't, how sometimes we're thinking so much we can't sleep. Who do you think was up at night and was able to warn people when stuff was going down? Our impulsivity, we can think on a dime. The way we kind of jump from one topic to another, um, all that stuff, it helped build civilization. So, so yeah, we had some great conversations I did with her, and got on some treatment, and I've been seeing her. I saw her up until I saw her for a year while I was living here in Colorado. That's why I did not want to get rid of her. But I found a great doctor here in Colorado, a woman, another woman, who was who she knows exactly how my brain works. She's wonderful. I don't know. To me, I now say I tell people to get a doctor who's neurodivergent, a doctor who already has autism, who's bipolar, who has ADHD, because they know how our brain works, and you won't get a lot of the pushback that you get from these other doctors. They won't throw their hands up. They want to fix this. So yeah, I'm now 44. So I've been seeing, being treated for my ADHD for 11 years now. Um, and I've just embraced it because it's who I am. Um, yeah, it's who I am. It's part of me. So it's not anything I want to give up. So and actually, one thing I'm proud of is my ADHD actually helped me by by making me come up with this book. I came up with this book because I needed to do something. I needed to get a hold of my brain and get it to it's like, okay, I need you to work for me right now so that I can figure out how to get housing. How do I, because my when I created this book, if you watched the last video, the last 5 video, I talked about how the kids and I were, my youngest 2 kids and I were living in a hotel. I had separated from my husband, my ex-husband. We're divorced now, and I I needed something to kind of get my brain. I had anxiety from just everything happening, and my brain was shut down. It wanted to shut down. It didn't want to do anything. There was so much noise. I was thinking about so much going on. I'm looking for 23. Here it is. Um, and I just needed to quiet the noise. I wanted to color. My coloring books were used up, and so I created this book. Now, had I have, if I didn't have an ADHD brain, a neurodivergent brain, I would have been stuck sitting there trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to get things done, freaking out, you know, and I wouldn't be where I am today. And I certainly wouldn't have created this coloring book. It is because I'm neurodivergent, because neurodivergent brains are always thinking of solutions, that I came up with this book. So yeah, it goes back to my original statement, when I was told not to market this as a book for neurodivergence, a book for people with ADHD. Don't even put those in the title, is what some people told me. Um, Heck yeah, I'm going to put these in. I'm not only going to put neurodivergent and ADHD in the title. It's going to be on everything. I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to say this book was made for us in our brains, and other people can use it and it'll work well for them, but it's made specifically for us in our brains, and they work because I made them. I made them when my brain needed it. When I needed it, this is what my brain produced. My ADHD neurodivergent brain produced this. So, and oh, I have to tell you too, this font, it's kind of a play on the serif font. Um, I went and got some pens over the weekend, new pens, and was sitting there, and I was like, okay, what am I going? I got a new pen. I got a new sketch pad. This is a new sketch pad, and all of you know neurodivergence. When we get new pens and new pads or new pads of paper of any kind, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We gotta write with it. We gotta draw something with it, right? Okay, so I'm looking around. What do I want to draw? What do I want to draw? I was at this place called Snarf's Sandwiches, SNARF S, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at their sign and their lettering, and I'm like, that's odd. And I start just kind of copying their lettering and playing on it, and that's how I got this the lettering I use for the word focus. Isn't that amazing? I thought that was great. I got to empty my pencil sharpener. But yeah, so once again, my brain, my neurodivergent brain, that is just all over the place all the time, clicking away at things, found this font, and it's like, hey, Joe, why don't we do this? Why don't we redraw some of our pages with this font? It's cool. That's what I've been doing. Like, this notepad was brand new this weekend, and it's like I've got this much of it used already. So, like several pages I've drawn. and redrawn some of the other ones that weren't all that great. So, yeah. Anyway, so as you're watching this, I would like for you to comment. If you're neurodivergent, if you've got any ADHD, bipolar, autism, BPD, any kind of dyslexia, language development disorder, anything like that. If your brain is hardwired different in any way, let's talk about it in the comments. That's one of the things I want to do from week to week is start talking about how we're wired. Some of us are not wired. We're wired different. We are. And we need to start embracing that difference. Because it's living in this world and trying to force ourselves to be like everybody else. I think that is the problem for us. We're not like everybody else. You know, our brains are not like everybody else's. And I think we should stop trying to force them to act that way, you know? Just like me putting my size 11 foot in a size 8 shoe. It's not going to work. And the more I try to shove it in there and shove my big foot into that little shoe, it's going, first of all, it's not going to fit. And if I do happen to somehow make it fit, it's going to hurt. It's going to blister. It's going to bruise. There's going to be all kinds of damage to the interior tissues. There's going to be so much wrong with my foot by the time I get done walking in that size 8 shoe, that it's going to be irreparable harm, like harm done to my feet that is going to take a long time to fix. And to me, that's how it is trying to live in this world, you know, with a neurodivergent brain in a neurotypical world. We're trying to shove our size 11 brains into the size 8 society. It's too big for that. It needs more. It needs a lot more. And we need to accommodate it, because just shoving it in and trying to make it fit is just going to hurt us in the long run. It's not going to hurt them. Nobody's going to even notice. Most of the time, most of the time, they don't even see us struggle. We struggle silently on our own because to us, it's our problem, right? No, not anymore. I think that we should do what we can to make the world fit for us. It's something that I wish I would have done and kind of stayed diligent with when in my workspaces. I kind of did that the last one I came from. I mean, I even went as far as to get a letter of accommodation from my therapist, but I gave it to the employer. They never did anything about it. As a matter of fact, I know they saw the letter because they started micromanaging me after I'm sending it to them and getting like worse and worse and worse with the micromanaging. And I ended up quitting. I was burnt out. Again, my size 11 brain in a size 8, you know, workspace. It wasn't working. And I didn't advocate for myself and push for them to, you know, I should have gone and pushed for them to, hey, listen to I gave you my accommodations. I need you to act on them. We need to talk about this, but I didn't do that. I was too burnt out, too stressed out. And you know, our brains are hard enough to deal with, but when we get burnt out and stressed out, it's just too much, and we can't think of anything else. So I ended up just quitting, walking away. Somebody told me I should have filed an EEOC complaint. I almost did, but then it's like, you know, I got to worry about real world stuff, and I don't want to fight with these people. I had to make sure my rent was getting paid and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, but in the future, so in all the jobs I applied for afterwards, it's one of the things I told them about right off the bat. Which the job I left, I had told them about it right off the bat. But these other ones, I'm like, okay, we're not going to just tell them about it. We're going to push forward, advocate for ourselves. We're going to make them fit us, and not the other way around. And that's what we should be doing. We should be making this world fit us. So that's what I'm going to do. So I will finish this page offline. This page is, it got stuck uploading on my website, so I'm going to try it again. It's going to be available for free on jonitaldavis.com. Um, I am going to leave this video up. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to try to go live again Friday at 7:30 Mountain Time. I think that's 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. So be sure to see me then. Bye.